Hello everyone, welcome. I'm so excited to be here with you today. My name is Gina Sager and I welcome you to a 5-week exploration of what I'm calling self-empowering medicine, an introduction to Eden energy medicine, mindful yoga with energy work, and yoga nidra. I would like to begin the way I like to begin all of my courses, and that is to just take a few moments to make sure that we're actually here, to allow ourselves the opportunity to transition from wherever you've come into this moment. So I'll invite you to just settle in to whatever seat that you've chosen and take a moment to come to stillness. As you feel yourself arrive, notice if it feels welcome or uncomfortable to stop. It's so much more familiar for us to move than it is to be still. So notice your experience with honesty. But to the extent that you're able, imagine that your sitting bones are like the roots of a tree that you can send through the seat in which you're seated, through the floor beneath you, all the way through the foundation of your building, and deep and wide into the earth. And as best you can, let yourself settle into a place of stability and strength. Drop into a place of center and ground. And if that place is not available to you or you've never known such a place, let yourself imagine what it may be like to be so safe and so comfortable that you could completely relax. And then let that sense of being held and planted and safe be the container for our work. Deeply grounding into the earth at the same time now that you reach the crown up toward the sky. Feel the spine grow long and tall. Feel space arise between vertebrae. As you exhale, relax the shoulder blades. As they slide down the back, notice how that draws open the collarbones and opens the heart. Release and relax the shoulders now as best you can. As the upper arms come to rest at your sides, if you notice that your mind is busy or spinning, or if you're clearly not quite here yet from wherever you've come, you might find it more helpful to keep the palms turned down in your lap. If, on the other hand, as soon as you stop moving, all you notice is how exhausted you are, how in need of a nap or an energy boost, then it may well serve you to turn the palms to face up. So there's no right way to do this, just feel what feels the most supportive to you right now. And then notice the head. Because of the speed of life, it's not uncommon to lean forward, leading with the chin, eagerly anticipating the next thing. But for the purposes of our practice and coming into the moment, let the head come back to join the body. I like to imagine sort of tucking the chin slightly like I'm pushing a book back on a shelf. Feel the full weight of the head arrive over the spine. Let the chin be parallel to the ground. Either let the eyes gently close or allow the gaze to fall soft and unfocused a couple of feet in front of you. And with the next exhalation, as best you can, breathe out everything that's come before this. Breathe out the past because it's past. Breathe out illusions about the future because it's not arrived yet. Deliberately and consciously choose to be right here, right now, exactly as you are. In this moment, this body, this room. And then let's take a little deeper exploration into this place from which we begin. Just checking with with your body in this moment and feel, literally feel, what it feels like to be you. Not thinking about the body and how it has been or could be, but really feeling it from the inside. Aware of the tightness or tension present now, the aches or the pains. Noticing sensation or lack of sensation, and if anything in particular is calling for your attention. Listen deeply to any part or parts that might be asking for extra care, attention, or healing today, or any other part or parts that may well be somehow distant or disconnected, as if they don't belong. Just allow a moment for the body to speak to you. Let yourself receive. And then stop thinking about how you are and literally come to your senses. Feel the places that body touches ground, the length of the spine. Notice weight and position of hands, sensation of clothing, and the temperature of the air. Just come to your senses now. And then become aware of breath. Not to change or control breath, but just to take a moment to be grateful for this thing that keeps us all alive, this thing that we share. This amazing thing that the trees breathe out so that we can breathe it in. And in relationship with the trees, what we breathe out, they breathe in. Just feel yourself being breathed, recognizing how breath in its own right connects us all. And noticing in your own being where breath feels the most alive, no matter where that is. Deep in the belly, high in the throat, in the front or the back or the sides, maybe just at the tip of your nose. Just notice. And if you're able to stay present to more than one breath, notice and rest in the space that naturally lives between breaths. Start to take advantage of that natural pause. And then when the next breath comes, feel a burst of gratitude that you're receiving this breath. In this moment, somebody somewhere breathes out and not back in. So receive it as the gift that it is. Take it in deeply and completely. And when it's time to let go, breathe out with no regret. Just watch yourself now being breathed. And finally, as we begin our time together, notice what's on your mind. Notice the thoughts and the worries, the plans and the expectations that you've brought here about this class, about this week, about the rest of your life. And after you see what's going on in there, notice how you're relating to what you find. Maybe you fight with your thoughts and try to change them. Maybe you sort through and only pay attention to the ones that confirm your version of reality. Maybe you try to escape. Set the intention for this short but precious time that we'll have together to just be here as you are. Noticing what is true for you, giving up the notion that things should be another way, that something else should be happening, and choose for now to meet your experience moment to moment without judgment, with kindness and curiosity rather than fear. Allowing a sense of deep, deep gladness for the opportunity to come together in this way. To opening hearts and minds and bodies in a way sure to benefit us and then through us, to be a gift to all with whom we share life, both known and unknown. And a poem to guide us as we begin. And every day the world will drag you by the hand, yelling, "This is important, and this is important, and this is important. You need to worry about this, and this, and this." And each day it is up to you to yank your hand back and put it on your heart and say, "No, no, no. This is what is important." Thank you for being here, and notice how you feel. It's really a delight to be here with you and to share something that has really made a big difference to me. Many of you know a bit about my story. I'll just tell you in short that I've lived my life in chronic survival mode. I'm a recovering general surgeon, and I really thought that all of my stress in my life was simply due to my work. Little did I know that there were so many things that had happened in my life that I had really not processed and integrated, that were sort of causing an under-the-radar energy drain, that were allowing me or causing me to live in continuous fight, flight, or freeze response, mostly for me, freeze. Feeling present and functional, but as if there were plexiglass between me and the rest of my life. I've recently seen a comment that chronic survival mode feels like a state of highly well-armored hopelessness, and it felt like it was true for me. I had a number of immune system dysfunctions. I've had headaches and chronic pain, and I've been unable to figure it out, despite the work that I've done, which has been beneficial in part with mindfulness, helping me pay attention to the body and noticing things that are going on. My work in Ayurveda helped me understand that the continuous overwhelm of my life was really not good for my nervous system. My study and practice and teaching of Yoga Nidra helped me realize that I must expend a certain amount of effort that must be met with an equal amount of surrender so that my nervous system can come into balance. And then my study of trauma and post-traumatic stress disorder and chronic stress and mystery illnesses that led me to understand even more deeply that stress and some of these odd diseases live in the body, not in the cognitive mind, which helped me understand this felt sense that I've had all along of being disconnected. Like my head feels one way, my body's reacting in a different way, and I haven't been able to pull the string to bring these two parts together. So I've been on a long search to try to heal myself, and hopeful all along the way that if I could figure out how to help myself, I'd be able to help other people as well, because this has been a really long and very lonely journey. I remember 20 years ago buying Donna Eden's book called Energy Medicine and finding a section in the book that spoke to what she calls a chronic homolateral state, which spoke to this sense of disconnection that I felt. It really resonated, and I was excited because for the first time somebody seemed to understand me, but I was busy and I really didn't follow through. I was also intrigued by her notion that triple warmer, which is one of the 14 traditional Chinese medicine acupuncture meridians, plays a strong role in the fight or flight or freeze response, and that we can learn to calm triple warmer down. I thought I was doing all those things in my work, but clearly not to the extent that I was needing. So when 2 years ago, Donna Eden's name and work came across my site again, I decided to dive in. I started doing this very simple daily energy routine, and truly for the first time in 15 or 20 years, I could turn my head. I finally could lift things and move my arms, and this was not due to yoga. This was simply due to a very simple number of exercises that take about 10 or 15 minutes a day that I'm going to share with you in this video. It was amazing to me, and I was very excited. So I realized that Eden Energy Medicine was like the thread that pulled all of these strings that I had around of all of my different practices and learnings and teachings into a single tapestry. That it was the missing link to reconnect with my body and befriend it. To understand that I have the innate capacity to heal, but when I'm always on a quest to fix the problem and to identify my pain and my headaches as the enemy, I maybe am working against myself. So the work that I've done with Donna Eden has helped me befriend my body, helped me to listen more deeply to the messages that it gives, and learn to speak its language so that we can communicate more skillfully, so that I can make shifts that will allow me to live in a place of more ease. That's really what it's about for me, living with more ease. So just quickly, Donna Eden is an amazing woman who has for all of her life been able to see energy. She sees colors and patterns surrounding people. She can see where things are blocked or stuck or flowing freely. She didn't really know how to manage that at first. It was just interesting. But she became chronically ill. She had multiple sclerosis diagnosed in her mid-20s. She had 2 small children. She ended up having a heart attack, and she was really told by her practitioners to get her affairs in order because there was no way that she was going to heal from all of these things. Well, she said no, and she started doing her own work to try to heal herself. And so fast forward to now, she's 72, I think, and has been teaching for 30 years. She's one of the most vibrant and alive and happy people I've ever known. And while I'm still getting used to the happiness because I've been living in chronic survival, it's really inspirational. I've been so profoundly impacted by her work and the value of it that I've completed 1 year, the first year of her foundations training, and plan to continue on. I really think this is a missing link, at least for me, and in the realm of chronic disease. The basic premise of Eden Energy work is that energy is a vital living force that moves through all things. It reminds us that we're interconnected with all of nature. When we get out of touch with the earth, with the natural rhythms, we get out of sync. So our job is to realign ourselves so that we're in more continuous communion with the whole rest of the world, the energetic world, the natural world, not the unnatural world. Now that means that we are very, very susceptible to the unnatural and artificial energies that are in the world. And so we must learn how to be in this world, as the Buddha says, but not of it. And Eden Energy work recognizes this and gives us tools to not only be more flexible and resilient, but to repattern our nervous system so that we're more able to meet the increasing demands and stresses of life with more ease. That's an amazing amount of power to have, and it lies right in your hands. So energy flows in patterns that can be identified, and any of your energy habits that you may have created for however long can be repatterned to a more skillful and easeful way of living. That's great news for me. I mean, we come into this world with lots of stuff. We have a lot of ancestral trauma that's translated through our DNA. And then we have the onslaught of sensory overload in this world. So to imagine that we can make ourselves more strong and resilient, resilience is the root of stress and trauma work. And so to be able to do this for yourself, I'm certain is going to enhance any other medical or psychological or spiritual work that you may be doing. It's really for everybody. So that's what I want to introduce you to. We're going to work in this first video with the daily energy routine, which is a very simple series of exercises meant to sort of take the static out of your system. It allows the integration of all of your different energy systems in the body, and each one of the exercises has a particular focus, but then they all work together. We study 9 energy systems in Eden Energy Medicine, including such things as chakras, aura, the 5 elements of traditional Chinese medicine, electrics, the basic grid, triple warmer, which is the meridian in traditional Chinese medicine that is most closely associated with the fight, flight, or freeze response, or the sympathetic nervous system, the survival mode in the Western way of seeing the world. To imagine that we can repattern and make triple warmer more resilient, we can find more joy. It's an amazing group of practices, and I hope you'll enjoy them. So I invite you to try these things on. They may well irritate you in the beginning. You know, the thing is that we're so accustomed to living in our heads that most of us are disconnected from our bodies. And so when we begin these very simple exercises, your mind might want to talk you out of it. Please don't let that happen. Let yourself try this on for at least this 5-week series. See if it makes any difference to you. Ultimately, of course, if it doesn't matter to you, it's not going to be worthwhile. But I think if you do it, you will indeed find a benefit. A most recent study that Donna cites is of a teacher who was struggling with her own anxiety, who had a child in her classroom who was uncommunicative and aggressive and difficult to manage. For her own stress and for the benefit of the children, she started teaching them the daily energy routine every day. And much to her surprise, this child came forth in his fullest, most magnificent glory. He became verbal, he became interactive, and at the end of class was very, very sad and said the thing he would miss the most was spending the time with her and the daily energy work. So that's how powerful these little simple practices can be. So I really hope that you'll try them on. Okay, let's begin. I want to start with a little practice that's not officially part of the daily energy routine, but I like to do every single morning when I wake up because it just gives me a sense of opening myself to inspiration and gratitude for the day. And it's simply called Heaven Rushing In. And it looks like this. You inhale, reach the arms up overhead, create a grand container. And it's wonderful for days when you need inspiration, when you need a burst of support or energy from whatever you consider source. It opens your crown chakra so that you can receive. It just fills you up in a very precious way, allowing you to be grateful for all that you have. And as you exhale, you scoop all of that inspiration and energy and light into the heart space. There's literally an energy vortex over the heart called Heaven Rushing In. So just take a moment to feel that. And then the daily energy routine begins with 4 thumps. So Donna's work integrates a number of different traditions. She actually saw it and figured it all out herself before she realized that these are actually ancestral and ancient ways of healing, which just reminds me that we really all do have the capacity for this work if we just remember what's already in there. So this particular 4 thumps is about EFT or tapping. The first thump is the grounding thump. This is stomach meridian. It begins in the cheekbone, and if you tap your cheekbones, it stimulates the stomach meridian to flow freely into the earth. It also serves as a natural facelift, so that's good news too. So when energy flows freely in the stomach meridian, it flows down through the body and out into the earth through the second toe. So stomach meridian is associated most closely with the notion of worry. And you probably have worry like I have worry. In a perfect world, strong emotions can arise, but we notice them in the moment, we integrate them, sort through them, take what we need, and let the rest go so that they don't get stuck. But as you know, worry can get stuck sort of in a loop. When we free the energy of the stomach meridian, it makes us more able to notice that we're worried, to sort of look around and figure out what we can do about this worry. If there's something to do, we can take action. If there's nothing to do, we can let it go. So we want to keep this energy flow freely moving into the earth and offering to the earth the things that we just can't deal with. Stomach meridian in the 24-hour acupuncture cycle, the 24-hour traditional Chinese medicine wheel, actually feeds the spleen meridian, which we'll talk about in a moment. Spleen is responsible for the immune system. So we don't want energy to get stuck in the stomach. We want it to flow freely into the spleen. So this just helps. Working with one piece of our energy body inevitably connects to another. So it just reminds us again of interconnectedness. I do the grounding thump when I just can't settle down. I feel like I'm spacey or not present, and I just need to come to my senses. So try that one. The second thump is kidney 27. So right at the inside of your sternal notch are 2 knobs at the end of your collarbone, and just below that is an indentation. This is the last accessible point of the kidney meridian, kidney 27. Stomach meridian drowns down into the earth. Kidney meridian draws energy up from the earth and distributes it to all of the other meridians and energy systems. So we want to keep kidney flowing freely. It helps us be rooted. So to tap here, you just tap on the inside or outside just below the collarbones. And Donna really is a tough thumper, so you can thump however hard or lightly as you feel comfortable. Breathing and noticing. Now, I like to use kidney 27 because it gives me an energy boost. Sometimes when I just start to feel sluggish in the afternoon, instead of grabbing a cup of coffee or something sweet, try tapping K27. It really does bring energy up from the earth and re-infuse you with a new sense of clarity and energy. I had a friend who was in an accident, who was struggling with her energy, was taking a walk one day and just flat out ran out of steam. She remembered the K27 thump, stood in the street and thumped for a few minutes, and then had enough energy to get back home with ease. So it really can revitalize you and give you an energy boost when you need it in the afternoon. And again, it helps you when you feel like you're sort of off your game. The third thump is right over the breastbone, and this is the thymic thump. So the thymus gland is said to atrophy very early in life, according to Western medical theory. But in the energy world, it's found to be quite alive. It's responsible for producing T cells, and it helps with your immunity. It's really helpful to thump here at this time of the year when everybody's walking around coughing and sneezing on you. It's helpful when you're sick yourself or before you get sick, just to keep your immune system in its best possible condition. It's also really useful to thump here when you've had a shock. It just prepares the body for this onslaught of energy that's about to come in so that you can manage it in a much more skillful way. And you can tell that it's easier to thumb without talking so that you don't vibrate. And then we go to spleen. So about a hand's breadth below the armpit is this spleen meridian endpoint. And a lot of times this point is tender. Spleen is responsible, as I said, for the immune system. It's also responsible for assimilating and integrating information of all kinds, both food and information. So if you've taken in like way too much information in a class or on the internet, you've been on the computer too much, you feel overwhelmed. If you've eaten too much and you're wondering why you ate so much and you feel uncomfortable, tapping here is sort of an amazing way to get that energy to move. And you don't have to do this long, like 15 or 20 seconds for each thump. There's also a neurolymphatic point for spleen, just about a finger breadth below the bra line. And you can tap here too. This is also helpful to clear energy from the spleen meridian. And I like to incorporate both of them by just doing figure eights. We'll talk about the value of figure eights in a minute. And then just to add another piece, you can also flush the spleen meridian. So you just imagine that, you know, like in a drain, things get sort of clogged. So you want to remove the clog and allow energy to flow freely. So you just place your hands over that place where we were just thumping. Slide your hands all the way down the outside of the legs and off the feet. Sweep the hands up the inside of the legs, all the way up to the armpit, down to that point, and thump. So for a flush, you flush down once and up 3 times. It just keeps the spleen nice and intact. And again, I like the figure eights. One more time. So just take a moment to notice how you are. And then on to the cross shoulder pull. So as I was mentioning earlier, this sense of being disconnected left and right is described by Donna as a homolateral condition. Energy is meant to cross over. The right side of the brain controls the left side of the body. The left side of the brain controls the right side of the body. And so we're meant to cross, and we do cross in many different ways throughout our physiology and our energy systems. Even the DNA is a spiral. You know, there's all of this crossover energy everywhere in the body. When we have a serious illness or a shock or chronic stress, the body in its energetic wisdom pulls all energy in away from the other systems so that we can allow ourselves to heal. This is very functional in the moment when there's a crisis. The problem is that we can get stuck there. And I think just in my experience, because it doesn't ever heal, it doesn't ever stop, there's always more coming in. And so we stay in this contracted homolateral condition. What it feels like is that you just can't, you're walking through molasses. You can't move through your life with ease. Everything's too hard. You just get tired. The normal things that you do that are meant to be invigorating, that are often oppositional, like walking or swimming, they just exhaust you. They don't give you the same vitality that you used to get. That may well mean that you're stuck in homolateral mode. Anytime you have a chronic medical condition, when you have chronic fatigue, when you're just exhausted all the time, it may well be homolateral. So it's a good thing to remind your body to cross over. You can do this in several ways. One of the quick ways to do this when you're on the go is just a cross shoulder pull. So you just reach as far over the shoulder as you can and dig your fingers in and drag across the body and off the opposite hip. And this is just reminding the body of the fact that it's meant to cross over. And you can do this as much or as little as you like. I think it feels really good though. Now the formal reminder, the cross crawl, for a non-homolateral condition, just as part of the daily energy routine, is to simply do this again using the legs. It's an exaggerated march, and you can make it large or small. But what you do is you simply tap the opposite knee with the opposite hand 24 times. I think that's 24, and shake your hands. Now, if by chance that made you tired, it may well mean that you're homolateral. You don't have to know that for sure. You can do a homolateral repatterning anyway. And the way that you do that is you start by staying on the same side. So 24 times on the same side. And I won't do all 24 because I'm probably homolateral and I'll get tired. Shake your hands. Opposite side 24 times. Shake your hands. Same side 24. And again, you can do just like tiny little movements. You don't have to do such an exaggerated motion. One more cross. Shake your hands, and a final cross to end. So you're just sort of coaxing the body out of its homolateral condition back into a crossover. So just feel how you feel right now. And then let's move on to Wayne Cook. So I'll sit for a moment for this one. Wayne Cook is an energy field researcher who discovered many, many years ago that when children stutter, if he did this exercise, he literally diverted blood from the more primitive part of the brain up to the frontal cortex. And when they were more in their frontal cortex, they had a better command of their language. So when we're stressed out, we get stuck in the primitive brain. That's where the fight or flight response lives. And you may just know this already because when you're angry, when you're stressed, when you're afraid, you can't think clearly because all the blood flow that you need to inform your higher cognitive functions is stuck back here saying, oh my gosh, we're having a crisis. I'm in survival mode. So we want to try to shift that pattern when it's not true. The way to do that is a really simple exercise. And it's a bit of a crossover pattern too. So you can do this seated in a chair. I'll do it standing in a moment, but for now, you cross the right ankle over the left knee. The right hand takes hold of the right foot. Now, I like to put my thumb in the center of my foot, which is where the kidney meridian grounds into the earth. my fingers over the toes because there are lots of acupuncture meridians that are moving through the feet. The left hand takes the right ankle. And then as you breathe, you inhale, stretch up long, slightly look up, and exhale back to center. So remember, energy needs space to move, so we're making some space in the body. And then we're going to remind it to move in a new way. And it's helpful to breathe out through your mouth. The exhalation invokes the relaxation response. Other side. Left hand takes the left foot. Right hand takes left ankle. Inhale, arch up. Exhale back to center. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale. And down. Let's do one more. And down. And then find whatever position is comfortable for you for part 2 of Wayne Cook, which is to inhale the arms up overhead, bring the fingertips together and the thumb to the eyebrow center. Now the eyebrow center integrates the mind, the head and the heart, the head and the body. So we're inviting with our hands energy to flow forward into the higher cognitive parts of our brain. As you inhale again, arch up, exhale back to neutral. And then drag the thumbs across the forehead. Bend the fingers in and drag them across over to the temples and shake your hands. One more time, drag from the center of the forehead out to the temples and shake your hands. This is a really good exercise to do when you lose your words. I noticed that I might be scrambled, which is what it's called, when you're stuck sort of in the low brain and the primitive brain and don't have any cognitive function that you need. I mix up my sides, especially when I'm teaching yoga. I'll be pointing with my right hand and saying left. Or when I'm writing numbers, I'll juxtapose them or counterpose them. So you know that something's off. When you're trying to articulate something to someone and you can't find your words, you can't find the clarity that you need to express yourself, that might be a sign that you need to do Wayne Cook because you're scrambled. And if you've ever been in the presence of somebody who is scrambled, you'll feel yourself getting increasingly confused. Like you don't know what they're talking about and you start to be scrambled as well. So you can scramble someone else. It behooves all of us to keep ourselves unscrambled. That's the seated version of Wayne Cook, and you can do it in a chair if you wish. You can also do it standing, and sometimes in a yoga class, I actually do it as a standing balancing pose. But the other way you can do it standing is to either cross your feet, or you don't have to, but to absolutely use your arms. Hands come forward, back of the hands together, reach one hand over the other, turn yourself inside out. And then again, inhale, arch up. Exhale back to center 3 or 4 times. And then same thing, inhale up, thumbs to the eyebrow center. Inhale long and exhale back to neutral a couple of times. Drag the fingers across the forehead. Shake the hands and then across the hairline. Now we'll talk about some of these points next time. I'll give you a sneak preview. These are called oh my God points. So they really help you settle down when you stimulate these neurovascular points. And this is the one of the points on the triple warmer acupuncture meridian. So we're also sort of soothing and settling triple warmer when we do this. So I hope that that makes sense and you'll enjoy that. Now, Wayne Cook for me moves naturally into the next part of the daily energy routine, which is the crown pull. So the first thing to say about the crown pull, which is interesting to me, is that your skull bones are meant to move. Now, I remember in medical school learning that they fuse. You know, in the infant, there's a soft spot, And it's an opening between the bones, because once that closes, your brain can't grow anymore because the bones are fused. But what was not explained or expressed or maybe known was that the connection between those bones is not concrete, it's fibrous. And so even though the bones come together and touch, the suture lines are meant to be movable. And so this gentle movement of the cranial bones actually pumps blood and cerebrospinal fluid so that your brain is bathed in a rhythmic manner with CSF. What happens though is that the muscles that are in the scalp can become tight like any other muscle because of chronic stress. And when those muscles clamp down, it impedes the movement of those bones. So if you are a person who gets congested in your head, who gets headaches, who gets stuck in your head and you can't get out, a crown pull may very well be of benefit to you. I think it just feels good, and I have headaches, so I do it a lot. So the crown pull is just taking your fingers, bending them down, starting in the center of your hair, right at your hairline, and just sort of inchworming yourself across the back of the head by pushing down and dragging your fingers out to the side. And it feels really good to let some of this tension go. And then when you reach the bottom of the skull, just drag your fingers across that occipital ridge. Start in the midline and drag out to the sides of the neck. And then just across the shoulders and hang here. And just notice how you feel. The next part of daily energy routine is connecting heaven and earth. So it really does do that. It's about reminding us that we have both masculine and feminine qualities. We're balancing yin and yang, heaven and earth, left and right, heart and head. It's really, really good for transitions from one thing to another. If you spend a lot of time on a computer, I actually like to do it as soon as I get out of bed in the morning. Just to open up space in the body. Remember, energy needs space to move, and we're trying to make that space so that it doesn't get stuck. It stimulates the spleen meridian, which, as I said, is very important for maintaining the immune system and the capacity to digest emotions and experience and food. It also maintains the stomach meridian, so it's really good for all of those meridians. And it just feels good. It's especially good for joints. If you've got any joint pain or aches, it draws open spaces between the joints. And it goes like this. Rub your hands together. Bring your hands to your thighs and just invite energy to flow down stomach meridian into the earth until you really feel your feet on the floor. And then inhale, sweep the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to the heart. Now, as you next inhale, reach up to the sky with the right hand, palm to the sky, palm of the left hand to the earth. Look up, hold your breath, and exhale back to center. Inhale up with the left, down with the right. Back to center. Let's do two more. Inhale, up, right, down, left. Back to the heart. Up, left, down, right. And back to the heart. One more time. And back. Last time up. This time with soft knees, roll yourself forward. Now, if your back is tender, you can stop with your back parallel to the ground. If it feels okay, keep going. Just let yourself hang here. You can touch your feet or the floor or grab your elbows. Take a breath or two. And to come up with soft knees, just start to sway from the shoulders in figure eights. Drawing figure eights in the air around you. Breathing, swinging, opening. And And I just imagine sprinkling all of that new energy, keeping all that new space intact. Just notice how you feel. All right, so the last two pieces of the daily energy routine are the hook up and the zip up. So first, the zip up. Central meridian runs from the pubic bone up to the back of the throat at the level of the lower lip. Central meridian is one of the 14 acupuncture meridians. It's one that's not attached to an organ. And it is incredibly sensitive to the environment, to other people's energies, to your own moods and thoughts. So if you are zipped up, you have a protective boundary between yourself and other. If you're not zipped up, you become like a sponge for environmental energy and other people's energy. And this is especially important in this era of Wi-Fi and electromagnetic energy to really keep your energy intact. But you might also know that there are situations or people that just sort of knock you off your seat. And maybe having a stronger energetic boundary would allow you to be in their presence with more ease. So what we want to do is reinforce the integrity of this central meridian by simply tracing it from its beginning to its end point. I like to trace in an affirmation. Now in a couple of weeks we're going to work with Yoga Nidra and the intention that we set for Yoga Nidra, and that's what I zip in every day. So for now, let's say it's something like, I am calm. You start with your fingertips on the pubic bone and you just drag them up, straight up the body to the lower lip, and I like to lock that zipper and throw the key away. I am calm. Lock it in, throw the key away. One more time. I am calm. Lock it in, throw away the key. So again, you might do the zip up when you're about to go into a difficult situation, or when you're about to be with people that you don't know, or you have a particular kind of anxiety in a different circumstance. See if it matters to reset your energy boundaries before you go. The other piece of the zip up is the hook up. The hook up is also working with central meridian, but it's actually trying to connect it with governing meridian. So central runs from the pubic bone to the level of the lower lip and the back of the throat. Governing runs all the way up the back body to the back of the throat at the level of the upper lip. What we want to do is we want to connect these two so that we create a microcosmic orbit of energy, sort of like our energetic spine. It makes us strong internally, and as we're hooked up, the more deeply and strongly we're hooked up, the more we're able to feed energy to the other energy systems. It's really important to have a strong energetic spine because these central and governing acupuncture meridians also have the capacity to be what are called radiant circuits, which are the things we'll work with in a couple of weeks that help us access the joy that maybe we've been longing for. So the more energetically integrated we are, the more our strong energetic spine learns to be present, the more access we're going to have to expand ourselves into a greater state of joy. So to hook up, I just always use my left hand for no particular reason. Left finger, middle finger in the belly button, right middle finger in the center of the forehead, and you simply push in and pull up. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And what I discover is when I'm not hooked up and I hook, I experience a deeper breath or a yawn, so you may well notice that. You can also we'll do in a couple of weeks, a back hookup, which I'll show you. And with regard to the zip up, you can zip up central, you can also zip up governing. By even if you can't reach, you just set the intention to zip all the way up and over your head. So energy follows attention, energy follows intention. So if you can't actually physically touch some part, you can let your intention direct your energy to flow. So that's really it for the daily energy routine, but I add a couple of other things in that I think are really useful. One is resetting the ileocecal and Houston valves. Now, Donna can see energy, as I said, and she says that when these two valves are out of sync or out of alignment, that they can mimic up to 27 different diseases. And if nothing else, you can imagine if your ileocecal valve, which is between your small intestine and colon, doesn't work properly, you may have some digestive distress. If your Houston valve, which is really just a kink in your sigmoid colon, doesn't work right, you may have some constipation. So if these things are not working in alignment with one another, you can imagine that there could be some digestive upset. It also, though, allows it's sort of a signal to allow all of the other valves and sphincters in the body to work in communication and in concert with one another. So all you do is you place your hands on either side of the inside of your hip bones, dig your fingers in on an inhalation and drag your fingers up to the lower part of the ribs and shake your hands. Push in, drag up, and shake them off. Push in, drag up, shake them off. And the last time, thumbs right at the lower ribs. As you exhale, you drag your energies down, your fingers down, and shake your hands. And that resets ileocecal and Houston valve. Another thing is the diaphragm. The diaphragm is a muscle just like the scalp muscles. We don't think of it much as a muscle, but in the same way that you can hold tension or tightness in your shoulders or your neck when you're stressed, you can also hold your breath, which makes your diaphragm short and tight. There's a way to free the diaphragm as well, and that is partially connected to, it's considered part of the valves that the ileocecal and Houston are working with. It's also intimately associated with the psoas muscle, which really contracts down when you're stressed out. So the more you can free this diaphragm and allow it to move like a bellows, the more you're massaging the abdominal organs so that they can move more freely and do the work that they need instead of being tense and stretched and stressed. So all you do is you place the left hand over sort of the big V up here at the top of your rib cage, the right hand over it. You take a breath in and then hold it and bear down. And shake your hands. Now you don't want to stay here long enough that you get dizzy. And sometimes if there's an imbalance, it doesn't take long to get dizzy. So you might want to do this seated or just for short periods of time. We'll just do 3 here. Inhale. And you're drawing your hands close to the body as well. And then we're reinstating what's called the bridge flow. So drag your fingers from as far around your back as you can reach. First on one side, sort of raking them all the way down and off the opposite foot. And then the other side. And off the opposite foot. One more quick thing, and that is this. This is a stainless steel spoon. And as I mentioned, the electromagnetic energy of the earth is something that we're meant to be in alignment with. But we're thrown out of that alignment because of all of the artificial electromagnetic energy that's around, from the Wi-Fi towers to, all of the energy of the lights and all of the artificial lighting that we have and all other manner of electromagnetic energy. So your polarity, your actual north-south orientation can be thrown off. You can I think it's pretty safe to assume that you might be thrown off. So if you have a stainless steel spoon, how to fix it is to simply spoon your feet. You just rub the spoon across the bottom of your feet. Now, I remember in the beginning thinking that if this spoon got stuck, it was because my foot was sweating. But inevitably, it's more likely that that's stuck energy. You can make circles or figure eights or any kind of patterns that you like. I have a spoon in my bedside table and I spoon my feet every night before I go to sleep, and I think I sleep better. So it's just that simple. Stainless steel apparently attracts this energy. A silver spoon will not. So I would try to use stainless steel. All right. And finally, I like to seal all of the energy repatterning that we've done with a practice called Celtic Weave. Now, the Celtic Weave is one of the individual 9 energy systems that we work with in Eden Energy Medicine. Donna sees it as like a web. It's got all kinds of intricate, shapes and colors and sizes, but figure 8s predominate. So the Celtic Weave is like a web that forms a protective cocoon around us. It includes the aura, it attaches the aura to the body, and it informs all of the other energy systems. It's really another reminder of us to establish and to really root in that figure 8 pattern. So it goes like this. Shake your hands together, rub your hands together and shake them off. And then bring them together. And if you've ever done Tai Chi or any kind of energy work, you might be familiar with the sense of forming an energy ball. You may or may not feel sensations between your hands. You don't have to for this to work. But bring those hands that are theoretically charged up by your ears. Now, the only trick here is that the breathing here is opposite than you would learn in a yoga class. Normally in yoga, you breathe in when you open and out when you close. But for this, since we're blowing those energy boundaries outward, it's reversed. So, with hands here, as you inhale, you bring the elbows together, cross the hands, and then blow the air out as you extend the arms. So we'll do that at the level of the ears, at the level of the thighs, and at the level of the ankles. So it looks like this. Hang for a breath or two. And then to come up, figure 8s again, because I don't think you can ever have too many. And if you wish, you can walk around. Create figure 8s all around so that the whole of the body gets it. You can actually clear space in a room that feels uncomfortable with figure 8s. Just notice how it feels for you. And I always just like to imagine when I created this beautiful web, and so then I'm just going to sprinkle it around so that it can make a cocoon and keep me safe. Notice how you are. So that's the daily energy routine, and without all of the explanation, it truly does take about 10 or 15 minutes at the most a day. The good news about this is that you do not have to do all of it at once, and you do not have to do them in order. So what you can do is just start to get to know your body, and when one of the indications for one of these exercises arises in your life, what you can do is just pull them out of your pocket and do it, and you can really do these exercises most anywhere. So I hope you'll try them on. Remember that energy wants to move. Remember that we are connected with the natural world, grounding to the earth, connecting with the heavens, allowing our energies to move back into the way that they're meant to be in alignment, makes a huge difference in health and healing. And moving ourselves out of fight or flight response is really the key. And so the more we can recognize the early signs and symptoms of being stressed and work with them in the moment, the less likely they are to stick. So, and most importantly, remember that we don't have to remove ourselves from this crazy, busy, toxic world. We can create inner strength and integrity so that we can be more skillfully present without being harmed. We can repattern our own way of being in the world, repattern our own nervous system using these techniques, which I just think is a form of amazing power. Self-empowerment is really the key. When we learn to trust the messages of the body and work with them skillfully rather than rejecting them, what we're doing is we're also informing our nervous system that we are safe. Even though we're challenged, we're still safe. So I hope that you'll really try these things on. And I do want to remind you again that your cognitive mind is likely going to tell you that these things are silly and don't make sense. Please don't believe it. Let yourself try these things on. We'll practice them every single class from now for the next 5 weeks. And I really believe you're going to see a difference if you choose to take this on. So just for a moment or two, find your seat again. And reflect back on how you felt, literally, when you walked in to begin this video. And notice what, if anything, has changed as you explore this body in which you now sit. As you become aware of breath breathing you. As you notice what's going on in your mind. Set the intention to take this work seriously. You have the power in your hands to change your life. Allow a sense of deep, deep gratitude for the opportunity to share this work together. To open yourself to new horizons and new ways of healing. And to be sure that this work that's done that seems to just be for you will ultimately be of benefit to all with whom you share life, both known and unknown. So to end with a favorite poet, Rupi Kaur, who says, "Look down at your body and whisper, there's no home like you." Thank you. Thank you from my heart for your presence. I hope you have a wonderful week, and I can't wait to see you again next time. Take gentle care. Namaste.